every single problem that you get, you can solve it by asking two questions. Have I done everything I can? Right? Question one. That's the first thing you've got to do, and you've got to be honest with yourself. And the second question is, is there anything else I can do? Right. Two questions. So simple. Have I done everything I can? Is there anything else I can do? Because you write them down. Because your mind, how it works is that your mind needs 100% of the data to make it work, for you to give it an answer. Okay? So if we're looking at your mind, it's a binary system, right? That means that it can only work on yes, no. Very similar to the computer that we're using now. Your brain is binary. So what happens when you give it 100% of the data? Oh, it's sunny today. I think I'll go to the beach. Ting, no problem, right? You don't get any dispute, right? Oh, I'm thirsty. I think I'll go and get myself a nice cool beer. Ting, no problem. Okay, where does the problem start? I'm going to open a business. 80% of the data. So what you do then is you start, I'm going to open a business is 100% you can accept. But then you come back because you start saying, what if? Right? You start questioning what's going to happen. Okay? So you've given yourself a very, very simple thing, but you start confusing it because you say, what if this happens, right? And that is where your stress comes from. Your stress, anxiety and depression comes purely and simply through trying to solve things that don't exist. It's clever, isn't it? Right? You've got absolutely no way. So when you've got any situation, pay attention, any situation where you're stressing out, you ask yourself those two questions. Have I done everything I can? Is there anything else I can do? Now that's relevant to this bit here. Okay, it looks technical, doesn't it? That's relevant to this bit here. There is nothing you can do about this that you're stressing and worrying about. So what you do is you say, right, you say to yourself, you consciously say to yourself, there is nothing I can do at this point in time. So I'm giving myself permission to not think or worry about it until it presents itself as a real situation. Okay, making sense? So this takes a bit of training because you're trained, you're trained to worry. That's part of it. All this stuff, all the control that they're getting over us now is because we allowing it to go in and make us fearful, right? Whereas we've got to ask the question, have I done everything I can? Is there anything else I can do? And whatever the situation is, you've got to relax until such time as you've got something to deal about, right? If you really took everything to its logical conclusion, you started reading, all car accidents are up, house fires are up, you wouldn't do anything. You'd never get in your car. If you thought of the possibilities of what could go wrong on a car journey, you'd never ever get in the car, would you? Think about it. Tire could have a puncture, right? Oh, the engine could boil up. We don't do it so much now. I used to when I was a lad, but engine could boil up. This could happen. We could have an accident. So you're actually restricting yourself, but because You've been on so many car journeys where those things haven't happened, you don't think about them. But put it into its logical situation. If you did think about them, you wouldn't do it. Okay? And when you jump in your car, you say anything, or you're prepared subconsciously for anything that occurs on that journey, you'll deal with it. Yet in real life, you want answers before the off. You're not prepared to wait for the thing to present itself as a real situation. Does that make sense? Right? So every time that you're stressing out about something, and you've got to give yourself permission to forget about it until it presents itself as a real situation. Okay? Then you say, and let the voices, these are new voices I'm putting in here. This is taking the place of all that other stuff. So when you're stressing, Cross is in there allowing you to do this. This is the new education, the new bit. Have I done everything I can? Is there anything else I can do? Cross said, don't worry about it now until it's real. Now, if you've got a bit of anxiety and you can do something about it and you haven't, you're a bloody fool, right? So it confirms, it tightens everything up. Have I done everything I can? Yeah, I'll think that. And just as a saver bet, is there anything else I can do? You answer yes, no, you cancel that. You cancel that stress and worry. Trust me, don't even think about it until it presents itself. Now, that's going to take a bit of a stretch to start with, because you are fully programmed to worry, okay? You've been programmed to do it, and it's going to take a bit of work. But replace one of them voices with Uncle Cross telling you to forget it until it's real. Now, the other thing that happens, you see, this is the most amazing thing. Whatever happens in your life, however major the problem is, you immediately go into sort it out zone. Right? Makes sense? Everything that's ever happened, you're the most amazing things. You have an accident or whatever, immediately you know what to do. You're given the tools and equipment to deal with it. And that happens at any situation in life. Some people have done the most amazing things, like they've seen someone in trouble and they've gone to their assistance and they sort of, think if I'd have thought about doing that, in cold light of day, I'd have never done it, but you just do it. So remember that every single thing, when it's real, you can deal with it. When it's in your mind, all it can do is cause you stress, anxiety, and depression. Funny, but that spells that, isn't it? Sad. Right? The three things that wind you up, right, spell sad. And that is how you feel, isn't it? Every time that you get yourself into that situation. So there you go. Your brain's binary. It can only give you an answer if you've got 100% of the data. Your stress and anxiety comes through asking questions of something where you haven't got the answer. So like looking into the future and saying, if this happens, if that happens. So the thing you've got to learn is you've got to learn to allow things to unfold. Okay? Don't try. Your brain don't need any help, right? It's like you get all these things that, when the banks, they say, bring me a projection of what you're going to do. What do they call them? Lost my mind a little bit. I've been on the drugs this morning, the painkillers. But the bank asks you for a plan, right, of what's going to happen in your business. Now, I don't know what's going to happen this afternoon, but to make the computer say yes, you've got to come up with all these fancy figures and all the bits and pieces, purely and simply to make the computer say yes. Load of rubbish. Your mind has got more sense. All you've got to do to get a result is be here and know what you want. The minute you try and fill this bit in here, you'll create a problem. Just allow it to unfold. And we'll talk about that later, because this is part of the science of success, because I've brought it down to 3 things, believe it or not, right? But there is the situation. You've only got to know where you're going, okay? Nothing else. You don't need any more information other than the destination, right? Now, the biggest problem that we have with destinations is we mix them up with direction, right? Direction and destination are 2 different things, you see, because if you've only got a direction, any time you're moving, you're heading in a direction, but it ain't necessarily leading to where you want to go, which is your destination. So don't mix up direction and destination. They're 2 totally different things. And provided you know the destination, your mind, 100%, provided you don't interfere, will allow you to arrive at your destination. It will show you the next step every single time. We all run aground because we want to work all this out in advance. That's this bit here, right? And all that's going to cause you is stress and anxiety, because it's impossible. You've got to be flexible. You've got to know, and you can have a plan and an idea, but if you stick rigidly to a plan, right, you're restricting itself to what you actually know now. Does that make sense? Any plan you've got can only be based on the information that you're carrying now. And as we've discussed earlier, a lot of it ain't good information. So you're restricted to be exactly where you are, and you can't move on because you're not allowing things to unfold.